What's up, everybody? See if anybody's gonna join. I got fucking my man always does laundry and then he washes his fucking Harley, dude. That's what's up. How the hell you put it? How do you put the fucking thing in there? There we go. I love this fucking laundromat. I mean, as far as laundromats go, I mean, you got a good, diverse population. I basically live in communist China. Fentanyl use is at an all-time high here. It's, you know, listen, I watched this fucking thing the other day where the lady's on, she's fucking coloring her fentanyl rocks. It was a Vice special, which, you know what? I can't hate Vice, dude. You can't hate Vice. You know what I remember Vice? I remember Eminem, like fucking 15 years ago, said that's where he got his information from. Like, trust in Eminem, people. Trust that Eminem knows what he's talking about. Not that I do. I don't know shit about nothing. Okay, form your own opinions. Make it a good one. Make it a good opinion. I mean, all opinions are basically good. I bought this dude a beer. I met this. I mean, you come across. I'm a friendly guy. Here's the deal. I'm pretty fucking friendly. But Vietnam veteran guy. You know what I mean? When you're doing your wife's panties, dude. I mean, you're just everything's flying, bro. You're dealing with heavy discharge situations. I got my dirty shit. My clothes are falling apart. I need to be shilling for money. I like a good shill. I appreciate a good shill. And is he got a broken leg? Everybody's got something broken around here. He's got a broken right tibia. But I met my man. He goes. You know, we started saying, you know, nobody wants the fucking top laundry joint. I mean, they make them top bottom. But listen, I'm not bending over, dude. I'm not bending over. Plus, you can't trust anybody around here. It's like prison. It's prison rules, dude. There's too many California penal system people here. Whites stick with the Mexicans. The blacks are solo, and then there's others, dude. And I'm in another dominated neighborhood. I'm fucking straight up in another dominated neighborhood. Shout out to my fucking Chineses, dude. The ones that come over here and rock fucking straight patriot gear. Okay? If you're over here and you're fucking bringing that communist drama, I mean, put me down, dude. I need to get up on the social score situation, which is where this is all going. Okay? We're all going to have my social score is going to be very poor. It's going to be terrible. Okay? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Hey, Big Rye. Add Rye. I haven't met Rye. Are you
Hello, Dusty.
Hey, man. How are you, brother?
I'm fine. I just got your message on Discord, and I was like, "Oh, this is surprising." So I thought I'd come on the show, see how you're doing. You're recording from your car. How are you doing that?
StreamYard, baby.
Oh,
StreamYard. You can go live. Don't you use StreamYard?
I do, but I'm on about you're in your car, so I think you're using your phone, right?
Yeah. You can use your phone, laptop. You know, It's pretty cool, man, because you can open up a bunch of windows. And you could do a skit if you wanted to. You know, you could leave one camera open in your house and then have the your other device. You know, that's what I use it for. Where you can do, characters. Put a wig on.
I was just about to share the video, so you speak to the wonderful people while I share the video out.
Salute, brother. Everybody go subscribe to my guy, Big Ride. Give us your channel, man. This will go up later. I know there's nobody on here now, but I'll edit it later.
It's basically my name, Dusty. Ryan Roger Athay. You can check me out. I make a lot of videos about a lot of topics and people, and I welcome everyone. It doesn't matter if you love me or hate me. Everyone's welcome. Even hipsters.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. Yeah, I love your attitude. You got a great attitude, and I think that's why people gravitate towards you, brother. You know, look forward to seeing what you're doing in the future.
Well, I always want to speak to you and Focus Cliff, but you're on when it's like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and you have your own little bit for a few hours, and then you invite people on, and then it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, where are you at? London?
No. I live in Wales, which is west of the United Kingdom, to the west of England.
Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Oh man, why is so accents in Wales are English?
Well, you see, it's an interesting thing, Dusty, because my voice, I had a strong, thick Welsh accent when I was a kid, but I got into an accident, took on a bully, picked him up. He was too heavy for me, and he landed on my neck, and I couldn't speak. So my father saw it as an opportunity to retrain my voice, and that's why I sound the way I do. Though I can also change voices. You know, I can speak like this and say hi to everyone. But I prefer. I only do that when I'm very excited and when I'm not being very professional.
Give me your best American accent.
Hey y'all, hope you're doing well. I'm from Southern Texas. Yet I have the inflection of a Californian, and I'm unintentionally funny and silly because I'm a Yankee.
Hit me with the. Can you do a New York, like a Brooklyn?
Oh, I don't think I can. I struggle with
it. Like, come on, son. Let me get a slice of pizza over here. You know, can you do one of those?
I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do Boston either. Ivan? Who's Ivan? Blooper.
Ivan? Is he? Who's that? Is Ivan in? Mind Scepter.
Is that his name? I don't know. I was supposed to say something, but then I did a blooper.
It happens when you're on live, man. It happens. Two people are talking. You're waiting for the other guy to stop talking and trying to have a clean exchange. Is the how you get better at this, which I think we all work on as people that stream or do videos solo.
Yes, I'm not much of a live streamer. I appear as a guest. Although, if the channel gets to 1,000, then I'll start a live streaming show and invite guests on, and I just knock my damn thing over, my tripod over. See?
Yeah, man. That's beautiful.
I installed this cheap camera to be the tower camera, so I could switch it on my laptop and show people my drawings. I'm quite a crazy drawer.
I was trying to reverse my camera, man. I saw a video of that Ian did of your VHS tapes. It was a pyramid.
Yes. The first one of these, right, was a giant tower. All the way up to the ceiling. I tried because someone said in a comment, does it go to the ceiling? I said, not yet, but I'll try. So I got all the DVDs and not VHS tapes, the VHS tapes with a foundation. Now it's a stack of drawers or whatever you say. And I tried to put it all the way up to the ceiling, nearly got there. And as I sat down, I said, I've done it. And then the damn thing fell on me. It fell on me. And at the end, I was just laughing because the computer wasn't damaged. And at the time, it wasn't this computer. It was another one that I had borrowed until I got my own. So I was very grateful that it didn't break.
Yeah. You start to appreciate things like that, man. When you start out and you got your little, I had a trash computer that fails, and like most do, you know, when you have your older ones. And then my nephew gave me, he was a gamer, you know, and my sister bought him like however much those things cost with the video card and everything. This thing, he gave it to me. My brother drove it back. He went out there and drove it back from Dallas. And after my sister he moved out. He was 18. He moved out. My nephew Dom. And but my brother drove it to me. It's basically like a giant cell phone at my house. Have you ever seen these touchscreen?
Yes, it's like an iPad.
No, this thing's like a 30-inch or 32-inch screen, but it's wild. So I went from like a 2012 PC that kept viruses and everything was heavy to like this gamer computer, which I barely use. All I use it for is editing, trying to do clips and streaming, watching your great videos. Where do you get your attitude from, right? Where do you get your good attitude from?
I basically am not a good creator, in my view. I just make videos from a script. All scripts used to be handwritten. From October, when I started again, my second run, from late October all the way to early April, all of my videos were handwritten scripts. It was like a page long for every video. And then my wrist sprained because of all the writing. So I figured, I can type. That never occurred to me that I could type a script down. But my attitude comes from the fact that despite all of our differences, us creators, and some creators like having a go at each other, like Hipstar and Focus, or Mersh and Pod Awful, and those kind of arguments, we all have one thing in common. We have a common foe, and that's the fucking establishment who wants to fuck us all over and get rid of us. Doesn't matter if they're a demon rat or a repute-lickin', especially those rhino bastards. They're the worst. But I had this attitude of giving my thoughts, taking suggestions from the viewers, because I run out of things to talk about, because sometimes I go all Joe Biden and don't know what I'm talking about. That's why we have the script, so I don't, blank. And then just start again, do it again. And then the third was rising stars, creators that I believe would go far on YouTube or on Twitch. And they start small, and I predict that they will do very well because of what they have created and what they could do in the future. And I've been quite accurate for most of them. I've made nearly 200, although I do have quite the backlog. Is Dusty on this list? Let's have a look.
I have.
Think.
Yeah, I doubt it, brother. I'm not gonna. I won't make it that. I always get banned always get kicked off for my, my choice of words, my friend. I'm working on my 3rd or 4th channel. I've had them up to over 500-600. And you think you're doing well, and then Ryan, I got deleted. I not only got my channel deleted one time, I got my email. They deleted my whole Gmail, brother. I've never heard of that, and I'm not trying to I don't like to talk about it all the time. It's like I'm not one of these guys that goes, rage against the machine constantly, and that's all you get to talk about. Yes, it's true. What you're saying is actual and factual, especially when it comes to speech online. I don't know do you guys have free speech in your laws in Wales?
No, we can't speak our mind. Why do you think I'm so nice to everyone?
I don't know. I mean, you do, and it's just I don't know anything about Wales. I haven't done any research on or came across any history of that. Well, I was just.
Well, in terms of the United Kingdom, our rights to freedom of speech are far less than that of the United States. In fact, when there are scandals involving certain groups of people raping other groups of people, if you speak your mind, you not only get canceled, you get arrested for talking about it.
Oh, you want me to finish I'll say what you're trying to say is that a certain people, maybe a certain country maybe took in a certain people when there was a certain conflict in the Middle Eastern area, and now we're maybe not occupied, but are now doing certain things to a certain population in Wales.
Oh, not just Wales, England, everywhere.
Are we talking about a Robinson situation, my man? Yeah. I just saw. Where did he go? I haven't seen Robinson in a long time.
Well, he doesn't really have much of a problem with the people he used to criticize because he sat down and had a dialogue with their leaders. The people who really hate Robinson are the establishment, especially the BBC. The BBC hate the guy for what he did in exposing them for covering up all those activities. Oh, look, it's Focus. Yeah. Hello, Focus. Hello, Cliff.
Oh, in the end? Oh, yeah. That I watched when they put him in jail for exposing some grooming ring. And then I saw a couple sit downs where he was going. I mean, the guy was getting, he was getting it from all sides. But like you said, he was getting it from the BBC and the powers that be, and then he was getting it from some of the, imams that he felt were, and a lot of facts back it that they were, they were bringing in extremists, and that's a touchy topic that I got. I've been in trouble for.
It's
the comedy
field.
It's a minefield. Yes, it is. You never know which subject you're going to touch on, and it's going to set off the alarms on the old algorithm. Now, it's but I mean, I hope that you're able to. Patreon is nice. I haven't got bothered on Patreon, which is you can put them up, but you have to post it on YouTube. You have to upload it to YouTube, which means I'm assuming that they run their code through it to check what you're saying. So I don't know. And that was a question me and Cliff had was, can we go uncensored all the way and use YouTube to upload but leave it unlisted, but still put it on Patreon?
Well, I've personally found that YouTube, before they, outright ban people, they try to suppress certain channels that are on the rise. I've seen this with creators. I mean, I've done about 192, 193 Rising Stars videos so far. Still got way more to go. But you see the channels they're trying to suppress. Now, as for putting up your videos and then unlisting them and then keeping them on Patreon, I don't know if that is a good idea or not, because I try to stay away from making money, so because I'm not a businessman.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you think? Why wouldn't you want to have your supporters support you that way? People that enjoy your rising stars, people that enjoy your opinion, or at least, they enjoy you of what you're doing.
I'd love to make money out of this, but I don't think I'd raise enough revenue in the short or medium term to sustain myself. Maybe in the long term, maybe if the audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger, then I would have enough revenue sources. But at the moment, it's at the back of my mind.
I get it. Like Cliff makes fun of me because I put it up on Patreon, and he goes, "Man, we don't have anybody viewing like a lot. We have 10, 20 people maybe on a live stream, and I appreciate those folks, and it's really nice, and we mix it up in the Discord. But then I go, I have 6 people on Patreon. I mean, it'll help eventually. All it does is you're hoping that it covers your Wi-Fi or covers your computer. It's not like you're trying to. I'm not making a living. It's like I make money how I make money, and I have I still do what I do to make money, here and there.
I thought of an idea that could be worth considering. If you had a membership scheme, and then at the end of every month, you have this pot of money, right? Say, just for example, $100. And then I thought, well, create this live stream, this lottery live stream, in which 50 of those dollars is up for grabs, and all your members are like in this circle thing, and then you spin the circle thing, and then whoever gets picked in the circle gets the $50, or this is the catch, they get $25, and the other $25 gets rolled over to the next members lottery.
This is a great idea, Brian.
That could make for a big channel. Okay,
yes, it would.
We got the lottery here. We've made about $10,000 from memberships this month. This draw is for $5,000, and then they spin it, and then it's this guy, and then you go, woo!
I love it, dude. That's a great idea. I might have to steal that from you. Can I steal that from you?
Yes, yeah. Everything I do, you can put me on all your shows, positive, negative. No publicity is bad publicity.
God damn. That's what. Now, who's the most famous person in Wales?
Oh, that's a good question. I think in terms of a celebrity, the most well-known in recent times would have to be Tom Jones, but he left Wales to go and live in America. But there's also Catherine Zeta-Jones, not related. Who else? I can't remember who else. But there are a few Welsh celebrities. Most of them get rid of the accent because it's very strong. And they're mostly musicians or singers because we're a creative bunch.
Who's the most popular band from Wales?
Oh, I don't actually know.
Do you have a band that you enjoy from Wales? Is there
yes. That's actually a good question. There is a band that I enjoy. They're called the Code Walkers, and their lead singer was my old English teacher in secondary school. That's ages 11 to 16. He was my English teacher. His name is Sean Babatola. He was born in Nigeria, but came to Wales. And, his real first name, I think, is Olawaseun, but he shortened it to Sean, spelled S-E-U-N. And he's a great singer. They're a great band. I have made a video about them. And I think they do very well in the South Wales area where I am from. I'm not going to be any more specific because I'm not mad enough to dox myself.
Yeah.
I'm
You've
going
been
to
there,
share the stream on Twitter, so you speak to the wonderful people here.
Okay, I got you, brother. I got you, man. Yeah, this has been a good conversation, man. I appreciate you coming on. I've been wanting to talk to you. You fascinated me with your attitude. Did you check out? Oh, sorry, man. I had the camera this way. I thought sometimes people just check out in the middle of my sentence, and I go, "What the hell?"
Oh, that's not very polite. If someone wants to leave, they should say, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any ladies in the chat, I'm afraid I have to go, and you all have a great day. Now, I'm staying. That was just an example.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
when I'm on stream, Dusty, I even say, I'm going to mute now because I'm going to the toilet. Or I'm going to get a drink. I'm very polite like that.
So let's say I'm traveling to Wales, right? I'm flying into Wales. Now, how is it with marijuana? How's weed there?
How about at least 5 years in prison?
5 years for just any weed?
Possession, you get arrested. Seen as a first offense, so you probably be let go. But if you've got a lot, yeah, you're going away. It used to be something called Class C, which was like the minimum offense for drugs. Then it got upgraded to a Class B because of the amount of people, selling it around. But if you do have quite a bit, they assume you're smuggling it or supplying it, you get at least 5 years. If you have some for your possession use, and if it's a first time, you get a warning. Second time, you get at least 6 months. More than that, it just keeps going up to about 5.
So does that deter the youth?
In all honesty, no. No, it does not.
I mean, Ryan, how are we gonna solve the drug war? How are we gonna do that, brother?
A complex question. In my view, the war on drugs is about as fruitful for the United Kingdom as the war on guns is in the United States. You're never going to win it. The more you resist, the more the people will resist you. The government have to understand that people are going to have these things and that they should accommodate to the wishes of the people, because without the people, the government cannot stand. I wish more people would understand that, even though the government has a massive military behind it, the people outnumber the military. I mean, one classic example for the United Kingdom, we have a military force of less than 150,000 people that's supposed to defend a population of 70 million. That is ridiculous. If even 1% of the people actively resisted the authorities, the military and the police wouldn't be able to cope. So
I just saw the Ireland. I love history, man, and I was researching, of course, the famine and Britain and how it pertained to the two, and I've researched it before, and I love that. But I saw that the Ireland's total military is less than 10,000, and it was something interesting that I found out also was that Ireland was neutral in World War II.
Yeah, and in fact, Churchill, United Kingdom, offered Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, in return for support in the Second World War, and the Irish rejected it because they didn't want to be dragged into a war against Germany, who at that time crushed every single nation that opposed it. Now, if I was in Ireland's shoes, I'd probably have done the same thing, although they, to this day, still want Northern Ireland.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that, when it comes to terrorism, the guerrilla warfare, as we know it now, with how it was implemented here and in other countries. It's the Irish, man, they love some car bombs. They love the Sinn Féin movement, and they love that, But that was interesting to find out that I think they only have about 8 Navy ships.
That's because the UK, Ireland, other Western nations, they rely on the American military through NATO. That's how we've cut so much of our defense spending to reduce our debts. If the US pulled out of NATO, our militaries in Europe would have to increase. Otherwise, there would be nothing to conventionally stop Russia from steamrolling across all of Eastern and Central Europe.
where did Wales get their independence from?
Wales, this is an interesting fact for you, Dusty. Wales has never actually officially been an independent country. It's been a kingdom, but it's never in its history been an independent country. In that it was a kingdom, not all of Wales as it is, but the north and the west of Wales was classified as a kingdom of Wales that opposed England and its occupation of South Wales, and it lost. This was way back, 12th, 13th century, so about 700-800 years ago. In fact, Wales was the first thing England conquered before it became the United Kingdom as a union of England and Scotland. That's why if Wales left the UK would still exist, but if Scotland left the UK, the United Kingdom would not exist because it's a union of those two nations or kingdoms.
So Wales is connected to Scotland, right? You guys share a border?
No. You got England here, then you got Scotland, then you got Wales. So Scotland is a very interesting kingdom in that it's always opposed England and the various states that existed before England. So Scotland did exist before England did. And under the time of William Wallace, they got as far down as York, which is quite a ways down. But Scotland, as a kingdom, was going bankrupt. And that's why it accepted a union with England, in which England was the main power. In return, for England would basically pay all its debts. And that's why you have, or had, the United Kingdom, 1707. I need a drink. I'm speaking too much.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, so Wales is so freedom of speech is where does it go? I mean, how far can you go? I mean,
well, you can't criticize gays, you can't criticize Muslims, you certainly can't criticize Jews. You can't criticize Jews anywhere. you basically, if you offend people, you've got to be on your guard. I mean, in the UK generally, people have been arrested for mean tweets.
I saw that, man. That scared the shit out of me.
It depends on the police authority, from authority to authority. Some police authorities don't enforce it because they think it's a waste of their own time, while other police authorities consider it to be something of great concern.
That was I know what Count Dankula.
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yeah. Marcus Meechan, he trained his dog to do that salute and say all those words. And I'm a fan of offensive comedy. I was laughing my head off. But he was arrested, charged, convicted, and given an £800 fine, and I believe a suspended sentence, which I don't know if you're aware of this, but a suspended sentence is if you do anything illegal in that period. Say you get a suspended sentence for 3 years, and if you do anything criminally wrong, like litter, and you get found out, you're going to the slammer. So we're only really one step away in the UK from that being time in prison, teaching your dog offensive comedy, which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
So protect the First Amendment, because the Second Amendment is the shield to the First Amendment, and the First Amendment is the shield to the Constitution. Even if it means repealing the 13th Amendment on those who oppose you. You don't want tyrants enslaving you. It's better to enslave tyrants than to have tyrants enslave you.
And you see they try this every so often. It's like history repeats. And, comedians, we're kind of given, or it's a social, like a social contract in a way to be able to, they're kind of like, they're able to throw jokes at the powers, and also that brings awareness. If the common citizen that's coming to a nightclub isn't aware, maybe they become aware, because most people are living their lives, and politicians that are evil depend on that. They depend on people that not know what's going on, so they can make their moves. Like we have, why are politicians so rich when they have a fair salary that's more than how much I make, and then all of a sudden you look at their bank account and they're 10 millionaires, 20, 30, such as Nancy Pelosi, this dog face, you look into that and then they go, I just heard that they passed a bill that politicians, I guess, could buy stock and this and which is wild, because they're lobbyists. America has this detriment of lobbyists that make sure that their products and their movements are set in the machine and get it rolling. And those politicians are given money, and of course that's like it's not, maybe they don't sign saying they're gonna back it, but what's the money saying? It's saying they are when they get elected.
Not. This is the problem when you give people all the power. I mean, this is the thing about taxation. People are literally being robbed on a yearly basis through direct taxation, like income tax and other forms of taxes, both at a state and federal level, as well as indirect taxes, which we have in the UK. We call it VAT, value added tax, which I believe is at 20%. So for every dollar your your stuff costs, 20 cents would be taxed if there was a VAT in the United States. Wow, I don't know.
So we have sales tax. So that would be, except that ours is broken up per state.
Right.
Like California, where I'm at, is almost 10%. It was 7% when I was a kid. I grew up in California, and it was 7%, and now it's I think it's almost 9%. But people don't see the writing on the wall, and they, like most Americans love to be okay with certain groups getting taken. I don't want to say taken advantage of, but such as, let's say, smoking. They've made it so in California it's probably $4 a pack is probably cost, and then it goes $6 is tax, and that goes where? People just assume that it's going to kids with cancer. They assume it's going to save climate change, and they seem all right with that, but it will keep going. Where does it stop? When people become okay with that, the next one, I know it's going to be fast food. It's going to be things that you can go, okay, we already know. And it's like you watch the writing on the wall build with the, America getting fat, and it's too big. They don't care, but they're painting a picture. And if you follow it, they go, oh, that's going to be the okay to be like, okay, if you buy a Big Mac, half of it's going to go to, we don't know where it goes. That's the whole thing. You never know where the taxes exactly go. You don't get it's wild that we get taxed in America and nobody cares exactly where it's going. They don't send you a receipt saying, Dustin, we took, 25% of your money. So it could be up to what, $5,000 in a year. Where did that $5,000 go?
Well, in the UK, we get a yearly budget review, so the amount of tax collected from income tax, VAT, national insurance, and then we get what it's spent on, so health, education, welfare, that sort of thing. We get that every year, and more the government can't pay its damn. There's a deficit, basically. They're not earning enough and they're spending too much. But in the UK, we do have a sugar tax. Everything that has sugar in it is taxed, including sugar.
It's wild, man. It's just, and you can see the writing when they're squaring up. If you're old enough and you've seen the code in the talking heads, the politicians that are just, we hire them, we elect them, and you watch them, and they're okay, because whatever they're getting on the back end is worth. And as we know, laws after they're made are very difficult to overturn. They seem to. It's funny when I look up, because I like to look up stuff like that. It interests me. And you see in certain towns in America, such as, I believe in New Jersey had it where you couldn't, like, you can't paint your house on a Sunday, like the second Sunday of the month. You couldn't paint your house, and those stay on the books. Nobody goes back. Eventually, now that was one that I saw that they took off, but it was something like 100 years. Ooh. So what are we doing? It's going to be 100 years for all these laws that they're passing for us to, if we get our heads together and go, we don't want this. This is ridiculous. Well, you guys have too much fucking power.
Well, I'm of the view, Dusty, that if there is going to be change, it's like building the pyramids. It takes a hell of a lot of time, and you've got to start with the foundations. Now, you start at the local area, then you move up to the states. Once you've got enough of the states on your side, then you can mount an effective resistance. But if there is to be a resistance to this madness, it's going to... We've seen it in the United States. The country is literally split in two between those who want to borrow a political phrase, make America great again, and another who wants to basically make the world great again at America's expense.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there hasn't been too much violence, but there has been indirect violence between people. I mean, in 2020, the summer of love, American cities burning to the ground because of an injustice that was capitalized on to further an agenda that helped Brandon get into office.
Yeah. And we have a dead man walking as president, and it's really not about him. He's just he's an image that we all look at and go, it's the people behind them, it's the lobbyists, and it's like, I don't know when people are going to wake up and see that it is, and everybody come together and put their differences aside. A Democrat, Republican, I knew it was going to, you saw it. They started acting like gangbangers. I grew up around street gangs, and they started acting like they were Crips and Bloods. It was wild, to see that, to see people asking what you are. Who does that? Who asks what political party you are? When I was seeing that, like, it mattered, I knew it wasn't going anywhere good. And that's all just a distraction to take our eyes off of what America and the people, UN, NATO, of what they're doing. And they're who knows what they're planning. I watch a lot of, videos, and you watch this and that. I'm not, conspiracies are fun. But also I want my facts, Yeah. And it's getting difficult to get facts. Where do you get them from? You can't trust any publications in America, the major ones, the New York Post and the LA Times. And it's like, to pick out different journalists, you'd have to individually know these journalists now to really respect what they're writing and trust it. I mean, I think the American Foundation is shaken that way, is that I don't know how many people, what the percentage is. I can't just read an article and go, oh, this is trustworthy. I can go on this. You have to.
Trust is gone. Trust is the foundation for civilization, and it's gone. The only thing keeping up the Western nations is the corrupt institutions that have destroyed our trust. And you saw this with the Romans, you saw it with the Mongols, you see it with every force that has become a great empire. Once the trust between the authorities and the people are gone, the end result, unfortunately, is the fall of nations. But because we live in the modern world and conventional wars don't happen anymore, and everyone, well, not everyone, but major nations have nuclear weapons, that process of getting rid of the old and sweeping in the new, it can't happen. Because if the United States falls to pieces, who's going to get the nuclear weapons? What kind of threat are they going to be? If America fragments, it would cause chaos, the likes of which we have never seen. Potentially wars between states, or the United States military abroad literally reinvading their own country. Because it's like an egg when you boil it and you rub its skin and it gets all cracked. It basically, America is becoming a cracked egg. And I don't know what the hell's coming out of that egg. It could be something great, it could be something disastrous.
It's wild. I mean, I slowly started. I was in the military. I was in the Navy in 97 and to 01. And I watched over the past 20 years as media has eroded any type of American pride, where we were all together and we had these some kind of agreement. This is good. This is why we're good. We've done this. And they slowly, just systematically broke a lot of them down. And then the erasing of statues, the like embarrassment of the flag, where people were looking at the flag like it was a racist flag, during when Trump was running. And it was like people were turning on each other, where it was like, this is wild, man. This is insane. This is insanity. But also that
never ended, Dusty. The Soviet Union may have collapsed, but all the seeds it put in the United States began to grow. I mean, they couldn't win the class war, pitting rich against poor, but they moved from class warfare to race warfare, gender warfare, sexuality warfare, pitting white against black, men against women, homosexuals or heterosexuals against non-heterosexuals. And that's how communism evolved into what we now call woke, because we couldn't really come up with any other name for it. That's why people complaining, why do you call everything woke? Well, before we didn't have a bloody name for it, so that's the name for it now. Yeah, the Cold War's still going on. We're fighting it inside our own nations with these politically correct social justice warrior bullshitters, and we're fighting it abroad against the People's Republic of China, which will likely become the biggest economy on earth, and it is a communist nation. North Korea on steroids.
I was watching. Sorry I didn't interrupt you, but just to touch on the China, and whether it's all business in China is connected to the government, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this thing, and if it is true, it was wild that the fentanyl. America's, I don't know how fentanyl is doing in Wales. Americans love their drugs. Fentanyl came out. It's 100 times, approximately, somewhere between 0 and 100 times greater than heroin. And you're able to buy it from China online. And if it's not fentanyl, it's a different form of fentanyl because that's synthetic. So, meanwhile, in a lab somewhere, when fentanyl is outlawed here, then you have other, mainly China, that's manipulating the structure, and it can be reintroduced into America, bought online, and sent here, and they're just moving molecules, and therefore it's not able to be maybe they're not breaking the law. They can almost ship it legally.
They're using loopholes to get past it, and the Chinese know this works because it was done to them by the British during the Opium Wars. They're simply using tactics against us that our ancestors used against them. Because the 19th century, the 1800s, was a year of utter humiliation for the Chinese. At the start of the 19th century, Dusty, the Chinese Empire was one of the most powerful in the world, but its strength was confined in China. By the end of the 19th century, when all the European nations spread across the world with their colonies, Russia expanded and the United States claimed what is now today the whole United States. China had been basically like a whore given to one nation and then another nation, bits and pieces of their territory under British or French or Portuguese or Russian rule, and Britain in particular force sold opium onto the Chinese public, and they were all just fucking drugged up, and they were paying the British Empire for them to weaken their own nation because they lost the 2 opium wars to resist that trade agreement. So they're just doing to us what our ancestors did to them. It's a tactic that is known to work, and China is basically saying, we're not going to get fucked over again. The 21st century is going to be our century. How do I know this? Because I'm a Chinese spy. It's because I do the joke with my eyes. It looks like I'm kind of Asian.
It is scary, to think of, when you connect the dots. It is wild, and how some of the population in America and in the Western world has just accepted. It's like accepting the communist,
America at its best, I'd say, was from the end of the Second World War until 9/11. From 1945 until 2001. That was the age in which America was at its most peaceful and most prosperous, despite all the race riots and all the problems throughout that period. They had an enemy abroad that they could fight. They didn't really have an enemy within. And all of the United States was trying to improve, to give people equal rights as well as equal responsibilities, while not spreading a victimhood culture. Now, political correctness began to seep in the 1990s, but it wasn't really something that was, banged over your head. But then 9/11 happened. It shocked the entire world. It shocked the hyperpower status out of America that, I'm assuming this, a bunch of towel heads flew planes into 2 buildings. That's an assumption. And it began to question America's superiority in the world. I mean, if a bunch of towel heads could do that with 2 or 3 planes, I don't remember the number, imagine what 200 or 500 planes could have done. So that's when doubt began to seep in. That's when you got more of this social justice stuff. And then Obama came into power because everyone wanted a black president, but that didn't really help anyone. And it just seemed to get worse, if you know what I mean.
No, it did. You're right. And that was the big, man, people, when Obama was running, it was wild, man. I mean, he was like Jay-Z on steroids. It was like a rapper. I'm a hip hop, I love hip hop, but it was like that. And it did trick hip hop. They infiltrated even hip hop in a way where it started with the identity politics, which now we see rappers that are transgender, and whether they are or not, or they're using it is another thing. But we see it now. Lil Nas X, we see him on stage, just having, having homosexual sex with the devil, and little kids are singing it, and it's the breakdown of the family is what. Like this morning, I saw a black man with 2 of his kids sitting at a bus stop, and that's rare. That's rare. He even knew it. I didn't even have to say anything. Like when I looked at him, I felt it, and it's wild that men in general have been systematically like when they made the divorce laws, and I don't know if there's a conspiracy behind that or a reality where men that were getting divorced, the kids automatically went to the wife, they automatically went to the female, and they also, if you wanted state benefits, the man had to stay out of the house when welfare was implemented. So for lower class, poor people in general, white, black, whatever. I mean, if you wanted to get state benefits, the man had to be out of the house, and you got more money. So even even if the man and the woman, no matter the race, in this case, was happening, they said you got to stay. You can't be here. So they weren't there full time. They weren't there full time, which means that the kids aren't having how we need. We need a man and a woman in the house. You need the energy of a female and a male to guide the children. You need that. Whether everybody has their flaws, but I still think a kid that eventually, even if they end up making some larger mistakes, benefit greatly from having a male and a female in the house, my friend.
Yeah. Yes, it's very true. In fact, what we've seen, I think, since the 1960s is a slow but steady attempt to change the Western world and its societies into more compliant, more controlled civilizations, because men are harder, in my view, men are harder to control than women. Men favor personal freedom, while women favor security, a nice solid home and a nice solid bank account to create a family, traditionally.
Yep.
And what we've seen is that the state has replaced the man. That's why we have so many single mothers. And women, as I said before, are easier to control. So if you give women the vote, they will more than likely vote for a political force that is for authority, for government control. It was a good idea in theory, but in practice it has brought problems. But I'd like to say that it's gone into overdrive since 2000, since the beginning of the 21st century. It's almost as if the people in power believe they are running out of time to push forward their end goal. I mean, they've been doing this, I think, since the 60s. And now they're going into overdrive, and it's causing way more problems. It's as if the more people are waking up, the more they realize they're out of time. Words, Dusty, are the foundation for action. The days of one shepherd leading sheep are over, because they could just get rid of the shepherd and then the sheep would scatter. Those days are gone. The internet has made sure of that. Everyone can be a shepherd, can gain the knowledge, can wake themselves up, wake others up, or at least just keep talking, because it gets into people's heads. But I don't know where the end goal would be. But I think if they really believe they are losing control, they'd press the big red buttons and we'd all go up.
Yeah,
that's how crazy I think they are.
You're right, and I agree. I agree to that to a point. I agree fully, of course, because their kids are going to be safe. Their families are going to be safe. They're going to be put away in some max, compound, underground compound. They hit the reset. They got enough food and water, and these apocalyptic things should only matter. And that's why I appreciate, a lot of people don't like Joe Rogan. And I don't give a shit about his jokes or other things, but I do like that he kind of hunting things that people need to know. Hunting, how to skin animals. I mean, I've skinned animals in my life. You should have it as a skill, even if you don't do it all the time. You should know these things. I mean, because if it does come down to that, and I hope it doesn't, Ryan, I hope it doesn't. I hope they don't hit the button and we find ourselves, robbing our neighbors for milk and then killing each other and eating each other, but how scary is it? It's a scary idea to think that these people that are manipulating us every day on the TV, they're manipulating people's emotions wildly, and men have their emotions. They've gotten so emotional, and I think that was due to a lot of men being raised without fathers. Stable fathers. The logic side is a little off, but I don't give up on them. Even when I see illogical men, I understand, because to a point I feel that. I feel for them. I feel for men that, because I am one. I was raised by a mom on drugs too, but I always had a little bit of a man figure in my life. So I understand the pitfalls that happen, but you can catch yourself, because evolution has made us like this. Men, I'm saying, men, we have it in us like a clock. it can be corrected.
Historically speaking, we've been in far worse positions. It's just that we're in a struggle between two main forces recently, since 2016, and this effect of them trying to go their way is causing the chaos, which we are seeing. Protests and riots and demonstrations are all part of that struggle. And what happens when, or if, one side gives way to another? I don't think it'll come in terms of war. I personally think that it's just going to keep going like this until one side just says, fuck it, let's go for it now or never. It could happen now, it could happen today, it could happen in 2030. I mean, we keep hearing the year 2030, that will be the year. But we are in difficult times because all of these groups all around the world are vying for global supremacy. And it's the people at the end of the day who suffer as a result. And it is unfortunate, but if you or I or any of us want to make things better, we have to start, as I said before, with the pyramids. You've got to start local, state, then federal. And it could take a lifetime. And you may not even succeed, but at least you damn well tried to make a positive difference, even if it is for your town or for your county. Because we, in the UK, local areas do have quite a bit of power, especially over education. Although the curriculum is set by the central government, what you would call the federal government, local authorities do have a lot of leeway. I mean, in where I live, we spend about £100 million, which I think is either 110 or 120 million dollars, to educate the kids of roughly 90, not 90, because there are 90,000 people living in what you would call a state, in my state. So we spend $120 million for about 30 to 40,000 people's kids. That's quite a lot of money. Yeah, so I thought of an idea where, what if we develop a system where schools become enterprises, make products and sell them in the local community? And if they make a profit and make enough to sustain themselves, they can actually pay their workforce, the young people between 11 and 16 years old, pay them like workers. And it wouldn't be, hard manual labor. It would be like building shelves or growing, vegetables. And that £100 million would then go to something else to, say, be put into a fund or to support a group to help the local area during a time of crisis, like a civil defense initiative. So say there's a pandemic and you need a group of people to react and prepare. You would have these civil defenders on hand to make sure the area doesn't go fucking insane. Because in my area, the police, there are only 1,300 police officers for about 500,000 people in my region of Wales. That's fuck all. If it kicks off, they will not be able to keep the peace. I've spoken enough.
So basically, do you think that's why the NATO, and that's a big deal with NATO and the UN, is for that?
They realize that without the United States and its vast military power, people, if they did, rise up, they wouldn't be able to control the situation without the American military. That's why America is so vital. If America goes against the narrative and backs a strong America First nationalist president, it's all over for them. They'd have to invest billions in their own damn militaries if things kicked off. And there's also Russia to consider, and possibly China to consider. It's a very complex situation. There aren't any easy answers, but if you want to make a positive difference, start small, help your local community, represent them, get the bread and butter stuff fixed, like potholes or rubbish bins and all of that, and then people will trust you, and then you can then push on more so to do other more expansive things. Don't promise a lot. Just promise a few things and then get that done within 4 to 5 years. Build that trust, which is vital, and then with it, continue onwards. It may take a lifetime. It will not be easy, but nothing good ever comes easy.
Remember that, brother. I love you, Rye. I'm so glad you popped on, man. I love your point of view. I really do, man. And I hope everybody that watches this right now and watches this later, start small in your community. Pay attention to local politics. I'm summing it up a little bit. Pay attention to that more than you do on the big scale on the TV. You can get carried away with the outrage, and everybody loves a good dumpster fire, car crash. But you can go down to your city hall, and you can voice your opinion, and you can let them know that somebody's watching them, because those people end up governors, mayors, they end up senators, and then we have Gavin Newsomes, we have AOCs. If somebody would have went down and spoke their mind and really gave a shit and cared, maybe we don't have those mouthpieces. Maybe those people become quieter, and we're not how they like to say, Ryan, you're platforming, right? How about we don't platform these fucking maniac evil politicians that are power hungry cocksuckers that only want to see our demise and want to have us under their thumb. So they want to have us with these goddamn communist fucking social scores, and they want to have us. We can't use our money. That's the next step, right? You know that. It's worrisome, but it can be corrected if everybody watching this and each one teach one. That's an old phrase, right? From America, from my black community. And there's some good black and white people. They overblow it on the media, but if everybody works together, no matter the race, religion, man, and that was what made America so beautiful in the first place. In a way, it's beautiful if we're working towards not having a fucking dictator or a totalitarian government, and these maniacs that are taking away our rights. And that's local level, like Rye said, man. I love you, Rye. I appreciate you, brother. I got to run.
Great to be on. You have a good day.
I love you, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. Have a great day.
Bye
Be safe out there, brother.